What's up YouTube, I'm Avni and today I'm gonna show you how to drift a Need for Speed Heat Unite 3.0/3.1 with a SimCade handling model. So in this tutorial we're only going to be covering the SimCade handling model, not the arcade. To start off, if you already have the 3.0 version of this mod, I recommend uninstalling it and installing the 3.1 version, as they've done some improvements to the tire physics and it just makes things a little bit easier. Basically with the 3.0 version you're just gonna spin out a lot more and you're gonna have a harder time, but if that's what you want, a challenge, then that's okay. As you can tell, we're using the S15 today just because I feel like it's like a more balanced car and not as OP as the RX-7. I don't like using OP cars in racing games, so the RX-7 was out of the question. So yeah. For the engine, I'm using a V6 engine, 3.5 liter V6. You don't have to use this engine. You can experiment and use whichever engine you like to your liking. There's a variety of engines you can swap thanks to this mod. So, I'm using all Ultimate Plus parts. Now this is the important part, the turbo. So you're gonna want a turbo or a supercharger that's gonna give you boost at low speeds. A turbo or supercharger that's gonna give you boost at low speeds, because this mod is all about throttle control and your car is almost never going to struggle at high speeds, so you're gonna want a turbo or supercharger that's gonna give you boost at low speeds. I've installed NOS, but I never use NOS to drift in this game, so I'm just gonna skip that. So, for the suspension, I'm using a Pro Drift suspension. You can use whatever brakes you want to your liking. Now for the tires, there's two main set of tires you can use or that are recommended to use with this mod for drifting. You have these tires that are for cars with more power, basically grippier tires, and these ones for weaker cars, basically for cars that are struggling to slide. It says in the description of the tires. So these are the two main tires that you're gonna be using, but I mostly use the ones for cars with higher power. So the tires with higher level of grip is the ones I usually use and I recommend using. So Elite plus clutch. So for the gearbox, now I always recommend using a 6 or a 7-speed transmission. You can use an 8-speed, but I just feel like 6 or 7-speed transmission is like the, I don't know, more balanced, and it's like the best. You can use whatever you want, but that's what I recommend. Now for the differential, we're completely going to skip this all-wheel drive differential because you don't really need to know anything about this. It just, if you install this, you're basically gonna fly across the track and you're gonna be a god. So we're gonna skip to the rear wheel drive differential. So this one is a rear wheel drive differential, Pro rear wheel drive differential, and you can use this or this. As you can see, my acceleration goes down just a little bit with this one. I use this one just because I feel like my car just has more control. You're gonna be more under control with this one, and with this one you're gonna spin out a little bit more, like you're gonna have a bit harder time, but your car is gonna be like faster and you're gonna be able to hold a drift for a little bit longer with this one. So that's for the car setup. Now let's go out and try this. We're back with the live tuning of this mod. As you can see, in this mod we have different options than the live tuning in the base game. So we have Downforce Offset, Downforce, Traction Control, and Brake Balance. I've never really messed with the brake balance. I just leave it how it is. I think it's fine. You can mess with it, you can try experiment with it, but I think it's fine. So yeah. Traction control should be 0, so just move the slider all the way to the left. Now downforce, I recommend and I prefer using lower downforce, as that's what really helped me with drifting with this mod. You can use more downforce if you want, you can mess with it, experiment, but that's what I recommend using. Now for the downforce offset, I just prefer to have it to the front or from the middle to the front if you're using a front engine drift car like this one. Like if you're using a front engine car, I feel like the downforce should be like in the front or in the middle or somewhere between, and not in the back. Might just work differently for you, so you can experiment and mess with it, but that's what I recommend and I prefer having it at. So another thing worth mentioning is that if you want to tie or link your drift left to right, especially with a 3.0 version of this mod, because you're going to be more prone to spinning out with that mod, the key is just to have slower transitions and better throttle control. Like you just want to transition slower. Even with this mod you're going to transition slow, but just you want to transition slow, and you don't just want to be getting massive angles and then just transition to the other side, because you're just gonna spin out and it's not gonna work out. So just slower transitions, and just you're gonna want to try to figure out the pace that you want to transition to. So yeah, and you want to have throttle controls. You want to keep your RPMs in the 4,000s or 6,000s. So you don't want to have too low RPMs either, like 2,000-3,000, because as you're gonna see right now when I drift, is when my RPMs are gonna be lower, my car is gonna want to spin out. Like if they're gonna be lower than 2,000-3,000, my car is gonna want to spin out, and that's gonna be a problem, especially with a 3.0 version of this mod. And you don't want to bounce off the rev limiter like this also, so you're gonna want to keep it somewhere in the middle. So I'm using the Sport Drift Differential. So with this differential I should be more prone to spinning out, and my car is just gonna be a little bit slower, and I can't really get massive angles, and I have to control my throttle and my angle and time my switchbacks. So let's try. So yeah, now let's try the Pro Drift Differential. So with the Pro rear wheel drive drift differential, as you can see in the stats, my car is just gonna have a little bit faster acceleration, and I should be less prone to spinning out and able to get bigger angles, and my car is gonna wanna get bigger angles, but I'm not gonna spin out. as you could see, I was getting massive angles there, but still not spinning out. So yeah, this is stated as a showcase differential in the description, so maybe that's why. But it still says drift differential rear wheel drive. So yeah, just remember, if you want to link your drift, just slower switchbacks is the key, and throttle control. Throttle control is everything. So that's why I was telling you that you want to have a turbo that's going to give you boost at low speeds, because you don't want to be stuck in the 2000 or 3000 RPM range, and you're going to want to have that boost when you need it, because if you're stuck in the 2 or 3000 RPM range, your car is going to spin out, and it's just not going to work out, and you're going to spin out. So yeah, well, that would be all. Thank you for watching. I hope you like it, and see you in the next one.